Chapter 3. In like manner, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, in order that, if any are not obedient to the word, they may be won without a word through the conduct of their wives, because of having been eyewitnesses of your chaste conduct, together with deep respect. And do not let your adornment be that of the external braiding of the hair, and of the putting on of gold ornaments, or the wearing of outer garments. But let it be the secret person of the heart, in the incorruptible apparel of the quiet and mild spirit, which is of great value in the eyes of God. For so, too, formerly the holy women who were hoping in God used to adorn themselves, subjecting themselves to their own husbands, as Sarah used to obey Abraham, calling him Lord. And you have become her children, provided you keep on doing good, and not fearing any cause for terror. You husbands, continue dwelling in like manner with them according to knowledge, assigning them honor as to a weaker vessel, the feminine one, since you are also heirs with them of the undeserved favor of life, in order for your prayers not to be hindered. Finally, all of you be like-minded, showing fellow feeling, having brotherly affection, tenderly compassionate, humble in mind, not paying back injury for injury or reviling for reviling, but, to the contrary, bestowing a blessing, because you were called to this course, so that you might inherit a blessing. For he that would love life and see good days, let him restrain his tongue from what is bad, and his lips from speaking deception. But let him turn away from what is bad, and do what is good. Let him seek peace, and pursue it. For the eyes of Jehovah are upon the righteous ones, and his ears are toward their supplication. But the face of Jehovah is against those doing bad things. Indeed, who is the man that will harm you if you become zealous for what is good? But even if you should suffer for the sake of righteousness, you are happy. However, the object of their fear do not you fear, neither become agitated. But sanctify the Christ as Lord in your hearts, always ready to make a defense before everyone that demands of you a reason for the hope in you, but doing so together with a mild temper and deep respect. Hold a good conscience, so that in the particular in which you are spoken against they may get ashamed who are speaking slightingly of your good conduct in connection with Christ. For it is better to suffer because you are doing good, if the will of God wishes it, than because you are doing evil. Why, even Christ died once for all time concerning sins, a righteous person for unrighteous ones, that he might lead you to God, he being put to death in the flesh, but being made alive in the Spirit. In this state also he went his way and preached to the spirits in prison, who had once been disobedient when the patience of God was waiting in Noah's days, while the ark was being constructed, in which a few people, that is, 8 souls, were carried safely through the water. That which corresponds to this is also now saving you, namely, baptism, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the request made to God for a good conscience, through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He is at God's right hand, for he went his way to heaven, and angels and authorities and powers were made subject to him. Chapter 4. Therefore, since Christ suffered in the flesh, you too arm yourselves with the same mental disposition, because the person that has suffered in the flesh has desisted from sins, to the end that he may live the remainder of his time in the flesh no more for the desires of men, but for God's will. For the time that is passed by is sufficient for you to have worked out the will of the nations, when you proceeded in deeds of loose conduct, lusts, excesses with wine, revelries, drinking matches, and illegal idolatries. Because you do not continue running with them in this course to the same low sink of debauchery, they are puzzled, and go on speaking abusively of you. But these people will render an account to the one ready to judge those living and those dead. In fact, for this purpose the good news was declared also to the dead, that they might be judged as to the flesh from the standpoint of men, but might live as to the Spirit from the standpoint of God. But the end of all things has drawn close. Be sound in mind, therefore, and be vigilant with a view to prayers. Above all things, have intense love for one another, because love covers a multitude of sins. Be hospitable to one another without grumbling. In proportion as each one has received a gift, use it in ministering to one another as fine stewards of God's undeserved kindness, expressed in various ways. If anyone speaks, let him speak as it were the sacred pronouncements of God. If anyone ministers, let him minister as dependent on the strength that God supplies, so that in all things God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. The glory and the might are His forever and ever. Amen. Beloved ones, do not be puzzled at the burning among you, which is happening to you for a trial, as though a strange thing were befalling you. On the contrary, go on rejoicing forasmuch as you are sharers in the sufferings of the Christ, that you may rejoice and be overjoyed also during the revelation of His glory. If you are being reproached for the name of Christ, you are happy, because the Spirit of glory, even the Spirit of God, is resting upon you. However, let none of you suffer as a murderer, or a thief, or an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters. But if he suffers as a Christian, let him not feel shame, but let him keep on glorifying God in this name. For it is the appointed time for the judgment to start with the house of God. Now if it starts first with us, what will the end be of those who are not obedient to the good news of God? And if the righteous man is being saved with difficulty, where will the ungodly man and the sinner make a showing? So then, also let those who are suffering in harmony with the will of God keep on commending their souls to a faithful Creator while they are doing good. Chapter 5. Therefore, to the older men among you, I give this exhortation, for I too am an older man with them, and a witness of the sufferings of the Christ, a share even of the glory that is to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God in your care, not under compulsion, but willingly, neither for love of dishonest gain, but eagerly, neither as lording it over those who are God's inheritance, but becoming examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd has been made manifest, you will receive the unfadable crown of glory. In like manner, you younger men, be in subjection to the older men. But all of you gird yourselves with lowliness of mind toward one another, because God opposes the haughty ones, but He gives undeserved kindness to the humble ones. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you in due time, while you throw all your anxiety upon Him, because He cares for you. Keep your senses, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking to devour someone. But take your stand against him, solid in the faith, knowing that the same things in the way of sufferings are being accomplished in the entire association of your brothers in the world. But after you have suffered a little while, the God of all undeserved kindness, who called you to His everlasting glory and union with Christ, will Himself finish your training. He will make you firm. He will make you strong. To Him be the might forever. Amen. Through Silvanus, a faithful brother, as I account him, I have written you in few words, to give encouragement and an earnest witness that this is the true undeserved kindness of God, in which stand firm. She who is in Babylon, a chosen one like you, sends you her greetings, and so does Mark, my son. Greet one another with a kiss of love. May all of you, who are in union with Christ, have peace.